Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo news, we're going to talk about how a martial arts instructor was able to save the life of a man who was passed out in his car while that car was driving on the highway. Let's check out the story. A martial arts instructor has been hailed a hero after he used his own car to stop another vehicle whose driver had collapsed at the wheel while on a busy motorway. John Barlow, age 59, from Middleton, was driving to get a new kitten when he saw a car on the M62 near Leeds moving slowly in the outer lane. As he drove alongside the Audi A3, he noticed the gray-looking driver had blood pouring out of his mouth and feared he was dead. In an attempt to save the driver, Mr. Barlow pulled his Hyundai Santa Fe SUV in front of the other vehicle, bringing it to a complete stop. Mr. Barlow tried to get into the car by smashing the window of the locked vehicle, and was helped by a tradesman with a hammer to get access to the stricken middle-aged driver. Then he performed CPR on the man until an off-duty police officer took over the situation, stabilizing the man until paramedics arrived. The brave man said, "When I looked in his car, it was pretty horrific. He looked dead, if I'm being honest with you. So I moved forward at the same speed as him and pulled in front, and then very slowly started slowing down. It was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. He was gray, his head was slumped a little bit forward, and he had blood and all kinds of stuff coming out of his mouth and trickling down his chin. I could see his lips had gone blue." Mr. Barlow had been traveling on Saturday in the car with his wife Christy and his 7-year-old son on the way to get their new kitten from Yorkshire. He added, "I was with my son, so we bought him a little Burmese cat. They're quite rare, so we were traveling over to Scunthorpe to collect this little cat for him. We got past Leeds and I noticed the traffic slowing down, and it got slower and slower. It just seemed strange that this guy was in the outside lane and getting slower. He was going 50 miles per hour and then got slower still, and some cars started to pass him." Mr. Barlow said he pulled alongside the car when its speed dropped to 30 miles per hour, and attempts to wave him over to the hard shoulder failed. The heroic driver then pulled in front of the man's vehicle and used his family's SUV to try and bring the car to a complete standstill. He said, "I very slowly started slowing down. It was a bit of a crunch when it first hit, and then a crunch again. Once he hit the second time, I thought he won't bounce too far, and then I put my brakes on and slowed him down until he ground to a stop. When he jumped out of the car, he was joined by a local tradesman who used his hammer to smash the passenger window of the Audi. He then sat alongside the barely conscious driver, trying to help him breathe. He said, I could see straight away that he wasn't breathing. It was a very faint gurgling noise. But I'm a coach at Middleton Martial Arts, and fortunately, we had just had a refresher course on first aid. So what I did was took the top of his head and tilted it back to help him breathe. He took a big gasp of air, but it was really labored and gurgling. Other drivers stopped at the scene, bringing the 4-lane highway to a halt, and the off-duty police officer took over and first aid until paramedics arrived. Even a doctor who was going the other way on the other side of the highway turned around and battled through the backed-up traffic to get to work with a defibrillator. He said, "Maybe some people think I should have been thinking about my family, but you just do things without thinking about them sometimes." Then later after the incident, I got a call from the officer. He said he was stable enough to go home that night, which was amazing. The Deputy Chief Constable for West Yorkshire Police phoned and said, "I just want to thank you for everything you've done." The police officer said that the man had suffered from a seizure, but was able to get home that evening. They wanted to give me an award, but I said there was more than just me involved. If the man with the hammer hadn't have stopped, we wouldn't have even gotten the door open in time. The heroic father said one day he would like to be reunited with the man he saved, who is believed to be the father of a West Yorkshire policeman. He added, "I would love to meet up with him. It's not very often you get to be part of saving the life of somebody, but I'll leave it up to him." Mr. Barlow's car was not badly damaged in the impact, and he was able to continue the journey to get Joey his kitten. Let's unpack this one. This is a heartwarming one. I love to see stuff like this. So John Barlow's riding with his wife and his kid to go pick up a kitten that he had recently bought. That's fairly rare, so he had to drive across town in order to get it. All these cars are passing this one car on the highway that's just getting slower and slower and slower. And I mean, on a highway, how many people probably pass that car without giving two about that person in the vehicle? People were probably driving past, giving the car the finger, screaming at the guy. Meanwhile, the guy is literally having a seizure in the car. So here comes John, driving by. He happens to look over while all these other cars are passing by, not giving a damn about what's going on in that vehicle. John stops, uses his intuition, says something's not right, and stops to help the man. Luckily, other people also stopped and they were able to get into the vehicle, and John was able to apply CPR that he just had a refresher course on at his martial arts studio that he coaches at. I'm going to go ahead and put up the approving Miyagi right now. John, you deserve this Miyagi. You literally saved a man's life. On that note, everyone else involved, this Miyagi's for you. I gotta say, they were able to bring a defibrillator on site and use it. It sounds like the man's heart had stopped. And if it wasn't for all of those people working together as a team to give a damn about somebody else, that man be dead right now. So all of you, Miyagi approves. This also brings up something that I've been speaking about for a very long time, and I hope more martial arts instructors actually implement this into their schools. CPR and first aid certification. CPR and first aid certification is extremely cheap, if not free. There is a lot of CPR certifications out there, and most of them are very easy to do, and it will help save a life, not just at your martial arts facility, but it seems outside the facility. I personally think every martial arts studio should have at least 3 things, period, in order to be operational. You need to have a defibrillator on site. Clearly, it helps save a life right now. It should be something every martial arts studio should have. 2, everyone should be CPR and first aid certified. There is no excuse not to do it. It's super cheap if not free. And 3, everyone should be locally and federally background checked, or the equivalent depending on what country you're in. It is so cool to be able to do a heartwarming story from time to time when we're having to deal with so much evil in this industry. There are good people out there. Martial arts can be beneficial, and clearly it saved a life, specifically because this man did martial arts. He learned CPR through that. He was able to apply it and keep the man alive while he was waiting on help. With that said, here comes the time in the video where I find out if you watched the whole thing. Before you leave a comment in the comment sections below, be sure to answer the following question. Have you ever gotten a chance to use any skill that you've learned through martial arts to help another person? If you have, let us know that story in the comment sections below before you write about this story. Thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and memberships, and all that other stuff that people online tell you to do. Keep the martial arts legit. Things just haven't been the